Hello students, let us start our new session, session 2 for the chapter 9, Force and Laws of Motion. Let us start our session with the Newton's first law of motion. It suggests that the law of motion is there, first law of motion is there. An object remains in a state of rest or of uniform motion in a straight line unless compelled to change that state by an applied force. All objects resist a change in their state of motion. Let me explain the law is given by the Newton. Object, it maintain its original position, either it is in a rest condition or it is in a uniform motion condition. Their state only can be changed if we applied any external opposite force over it. And whatever the force we are providing, all objects resist to change their original natural state of motion. So, the tendency of undisturbed objects may remain in a state at a rest or keep in moving with the same velocity. That tendency of the object is known as inertia. So, we can say that first law of motion is nothing but it gives the law of inertia. Here we go through some of the example. While we are traveling by the motor car, which gives a better explanation of the law of inertia. While we are sitting in a rest condition, with respect to the seat, while the car is in the motion, but we are in a rest condition while we are sitting to a seat. Now, if driver applies a brake to stop a motor car, so the opposite force is provided. Car is in a motion condition while the brake is provided, that is the opposite force is provided. Car is in a motion, but while we are seated on a seat, we are in a rest condition. So while the brake is provided, while the brake force is given, car is slowed down, but our body is in a rest condition, and we try to keep our body in continuous rest condition. We try to make a constant state of our body. So we try to make a constant state based on the inertia. But what will happen? The force is applied. So based on the brake force, it may possible based on the resistance, we try to collide or we get an impact with the panel in front. The opposite force is provided. So, we try to keep our steady condition, but as based on the brake, we move in front side, our body will move in front side, and we the collision with the panel. So for that, to give the opposite or to prevent the condition, we are using safety belts. So what the safety belts is doing? Safety belts provide opposite force towards the brake, so body cannot move further suddenly, or we can say that forward motion can be slower or sudden motion can be avoided, so we can prevent from the accident. Because an opposite experiences is encountered when we, another example is there, opposite force can be there. If we are standing in a bus is in a rest condition. Now when the bus start to begin suddenly, then we fall at the backward side because our body in a rest condition and bus start to move. In first case, car is in a moving condition and it start to sudden brake, so it start to slower down. So our body inclined in forward direction. But if, for example, car or bus, if we are standing on a bus, if we are standing in a bus, then what will happen? While we start to get motion, it moves suddenly. Our bodies try to get its original condition based on the inertia, but as the opposite force is applied, our body move in a backward direction. Right? So the bus brings in motion as well as our feet in contact with the floor of the bus. So the rest of our body opposes the motion because of the inertia. Right? Another example we can take, when motor car makes a sharp turn with the higher speed, we tend to get thrown out in one side because of the inertia, because it continued to move in straight line, but suddenly it takes a turn. So our body try to get in a straight line, vehicle moves in a particular direction, it takes a turn, so our body thrown out to one side. So when an unbalanced force is applied to the engine to change its direction of a motion of the motor car, we slip to one side of the seat due to the inertia of our body. So Newton's first law, it suggests that our body try to get in original position either in a motion or in a rest. If any unbalanced force is applied, it opposes its unbalanced force, and that's why the movement at the opposite force can be filled by our body. So that Newton's first law is nothing but a law of inertia. So let us go through the inertia and mass. Whatever the examples and the activities we have observed, it shows that resistance is offered by an object to change its original position, its state of motion, or its rest condition. So if it is at a rest, it tends to maintain its condition at a rest, and if object is in a moving condition, it tends to keep its moving condition. This property of an object is known as an inertia. Some of the examples, let us go through it. If the empty box is there, we can push it easily. Rather, a box is full of books. Similarly, so here one box is empty, we can less force is required to move it. But if the same box is filled with for example books, then it is difficult to move it, so it required more force. Same, if one football is there, we can kick it easily and get it in motion. Rather, the same size stone is there, and if we are providing the same force, then stone cannot move easily, or rather we get injured to it. So likewise, a force that is just enough to cause a small cart to pick up a large velocity will produce the same force if it is provided to the train. It hardly get in a motion. So to the cart and to the train, if we want to get in a motion, cart requires a less force, and the train requires larger force. So all these examples, while we go through it, it shows that the object which has a lesser mass required a less force to get in a motion, rather the object having a larger mass or the heavier. So here we can say that inertia can be measured along with its mass. So heavier or massive mass object offer a larger inertia. So the inertia of an object measured by its mass. So we can say that inertia is the natural tendency of an object to resist a change in its state of motion or of rest. Let us go through the second law of motion, Newton's second law of motion. First law of motion indicates when unbalanced external force is provided to the object, its velocity changes. And the change in the velocity with respect to time, we can say it gets an acceleration. So now let us study the acceleration of the object on the force applied to it and how we can measure its force. Let us go through some of the examples in our everyday life. While we play the table tennis, and if we hit the ball, player does not hurt him. But if a cricket ball hits a spectator, it may hurt. If a truck is in a rest condition, means it is a park along a roadside, it does not require any attention. But if truck is in a moving with a very less speed, it can hurt a person, it may kill a person. If a bullet which has a small mass, but it can kill a person while it is in a motion condition. So by observing these examples, we can say that the impact produced by the object depends not only on its mass but also with the velocity. So if the object is to be accelerated, a greater force is required to get a greater velocity. If we require a greater velocity, we require a greater force if the acceleration is required. So if the object mass is larger, again it required a higher force to get its velocity. So here we can combine the effect of object's mass and its velocity. This property is known as a momentum. So this property of momentum is introduced by a Newton in this second law. So the momentum P, momentum is defined as a P of an object by combining effect of mass and the velocity. Mass of the object is m and the velocity of the object is v. So P equals to m into v. Momentum has both direction and magnitude. Magnitude is defined by the mass of the object and direction is defined by the velocity of the object. If we want to define its SI unit, we need to understand the SI unit of mass and velocity. SI unit of mass is kilogram and SI unit of velocity is meter per second. If we are replacing it, we can say that unit of momentum is kilogram meter per second. So the application of unbalanced force brings here to change the velocity of the object, and therefore it is clear that a force also produces the change in momentum, because by applying a force, velocity of the object is changed. So momentum is P equals to M into V. If V will change according to the P equals to mv equation, we can say momentum also get changed. So let us go through another example. If a car has a dead battery, if we want to get in a motion, we need to push along a straight road to give it a speed 1 meter per second, which is sufficient to start the engine. But if we are giving a sudden push, if we are providing an unbalanced force to it, it hardly start or it won't start actually. But if we are providing a continuous force, continuous pushing force if we are providing, then after some time, after gradual providing force within a certain time duration, then velocity of car will change, speed of the car is available, it means acceleration of the car can be available. It means that change of the moment of the car is not only determined by the magnitude of the force, but it also depending on the time. Because if sudden push we are providing, it means force is higher, but there is no time duration is provided, so engine won't start. But if a smaller force is provided for certain time duration, then engine get start, car gets acceleration. So we can say that momentum of the object is depending on the force as well as the time duration. So it is concluded over that the force is necessary to change the momentum of the object with respect to the time rate, with respect to the time duration, which can change the momentum of the object. So the second law of motion suggests that the rate of change of momentum of an object is proportional to the applied unbalanced force in the direction of force. So I hope you understood the whole session thoroughly. Here we are going to end it. Thank you.